Greetings. Jared and Billy back again for the Product Marketing Podcast. We are here for the October update. Okay, so first off, we have a bunch of updates to the wholesale CRM in Luminous. So last week, just a reminder, we went over the ability to do fulfillment priority lists for your different customers. So this works with the same fulfillment priority lists in Luminous. This is shipping settings. You can set the different warehouses and the priority that you want those orders fulfilled in. There's a bunch more that we'll go over later. Now, diving into the details in the CRM, been a ton of updates. Number one, finally, we added this sales tab. So the sales tab will just house everything related for the sales team. So sales and accounting, everything from quotations to the fulfillment orders, the sales orders, the invoices, and also the credit memos. So a couple big updates here. So on credit memo specifically, we expanded a bunch of functionality. It used to be the credit memo was just this object that lived in Luminous and it didn't sync with QuickBooks at all. Now it does, and there's some more details as well. So not only do you have the same sync status that you get with the invoices, but you can also map it to an actual product or service in QuickBooks. So this just makes the wholesale CRM and every single one of these objects way more connected with QuickBooks. Notifications in the CRM. So we added the ability to tag contacts. And really what this came from was managing your wholesale customers, the orders, the invoices. A lot of times you want the notifications that go out. You might have certain contacts at the company that are more billing related, some are more ops related. So now you can tag the different contacts of the company, and then these tags and these contacts can be used in a automation. Last update is now you can have parent and child companies. This is most common for specialty wholesale. Sometimes you might be dealing with a chain and they'll have a bunch of stores. For big retailers like Shields or something, you might have the Shields parent and then all of the child stores underneath it. So now Luminous has that architecture and that capability. Now, automations. What have we expanded there?
So in automations, a big one is the ability to send enhanced emails, and this is where those contact tagging tools come into play. And the point here is to be able to really customize the types of notifications and communication that you have being sent out based on certain events. So when orders are created, when a fulfillment order is created, and you need to notify somebody, and it needs to notify different people at the company. And so a common one is if a PO is sent in by a customer and that person becomes the main contact on a sales order in the system, and we want to send them a reply with a copy of the sales order to represent the receipt of the PO. And so we can send it directly to the contact that we put on the sales order. Later, once the order is being prepped for shipment, we create a fulfillment order. Maybe that notice, so we want to send a copy of what specifically is being fulfilled, like a packing slip. We're going to send a copy of that maybe to the warehouse team who's expecting to receive it. And so we can do that now by adjusting the recipients and being able to leverage those things. So you can tag recipients or contacts on a company with things like warehouse contact or billing contact, and we can make sure that anybody that has the warehouse tag gets a copy of the packing slip, or anybody that has the billing tag at that company gets a copy of the invoice when it goes out. So as soon as it's ready, it can automatically send out that invoice, or as soon as the packing slip is ready for part of the fulfillment, we can send that to the warehouse people as well as to the primary contact who submitted the order, whoever needs to. So there's lots of flexibility now with tagging contacts and people on the orders.
A big part of this as well ties into the structural changes we did to templates. So in these automations, I can choose. So if I'm sending a packing slip PDF or a sales order or an invoice, you can choose from the different templates.
And for that particular event, like you could have a packing slip that includes pricing because it's acting as an order confirmation, and we want to show all the detail on there. But then we can do another one for the shipment that doesn't include pricing and just is just a checklist of what's in the box or what have you. And so you can customize those to your heart's content, including different headers, logos, you name it. They're very customizable, those templates. And since they're baked into these automations, you could have a dozen different options there for each type of notification you want to send out with a little bit different information. All right, so next we've expanded how we can distribute extra costs such as duties and tariffs and freight and those sorts of things across a shipment. It used to be by category alone, but now you can also do the distribution by tag. So this allows you to actually set up, for instance, duties are a great example. You could set up tags for the specific HTS codes and use those tags to determine which duties need to be distributed to which products. So it gets very specific to be able to leverage categories or tags and make sure that that duty is only given to products that have that tag. A lot more flexibility there, and you don't have to adjust your categories to kind of follow the duty schedule. You can actually, use your categories however makes the most sense for you operationally, and leverage tags for these specialty situations such as duty codes or other specifics that you might choose. So it really gives you a lot more flexibility on the PO shipments.
Okay, next up is pushing unit cost or landed cost over to Shopify. So if I go to our channel section, I go to a Shopify end-to-end, I click edit, I scroll down to the things that we push over to Shopify. So now we have this toggle where you can push cost to Shopify, and you can choose whether we do the unit cost, which is just the set unit cost that you're purchasing at, or the landed cost. The landed cost is the most recent cost layer, right?
Correct.
So if you're trying to do margin reports or just reports in Shopify where you want that landed cost, frankly, you could do that in Luminous, or if maybe you're using a tool like A2X or Cinder and your A2X is picking up that cost from Shopify because you've aggregated a lot of the things in Shopify, sure, you can do it through Luminous pushing that landed cost over to Shopify.
We've made it a little more flexible in being able to separate whether you push stock and push costs separately, because there are scenarios where you may not want to push stock on the same schedule, or you only want to push costs. Different clients have different needs that way, so those are separate. Next, talking about cost layers and FIFO costs, we've enhanced slightly the ability to import your cost layers. So now you can do multiple cost layers for the same SKU, and that includes if you have different costs at different times. Certain shipments came in a little bit more expensive or less expensive. Basically, if you know the FIFO layers that are being imported, before you could only import basically one with one specific cost. Now you can actually import it with multiple costs and quantities to be able to get all of those layers into Shopify or into Luminous to kick things off. So that's just enhances, especially on the onboarding and getting started with Luminous portion.
Okay, next we've enabled a lot of trickle-down settings and overrides, mainly from smart fulfillment settings and priority lists. So smart fulfillment settings, we've added, you can allow partial order fulfillment. So this is like auto splitting, and you can set a fulfillment threshold. We have a default fulfillment priority list. All of these settings, or most of them, can trickle down. The biggest updates are at the CRM level, which I already kind of went over that. That can be set at a company level. Basically, at every layer, you can override the fulfillment priority list and the partial fulfillment threshold and the splitting threshold. Now, you can see that most clearly if I just go to a sales order and I manually create one. You'll see what I'm talking about. So let's just go to a test, choose a channel. Should we say that now you can actually tie a customer in the CRM to a channel in Luminous. So that will automatically update when I choose the company name as I'm writing a sales order. So right here, I can now override the fulfillment priority list that was default, and I can also override the partial order fulfillment threshold. So if I just want, this needs to be 100% available or ready to ship for me or I want this order to ship out when I have all of my inventory, you would just put 100% and you can hit save and it will all happen.
And the beauty is in the CRM, you can set, each customer could have a different override on that. So it actually can set a different, partial fulfillment threshold. Some customers don't want anything until it's all ready. Some customers want anything as soon as you get it. Others might want it in at least 50% because they don't want to deal with trickling in everything. Now you can set it as well on the customer level, and that's what trickles down to the sales order, as well as, if you have it in other settings, those are your backups. But that's what, if it's on the customer, those priorities are going to take override precedence and control that sales order.
And that's it for the October update.
Signing off.
We'll see you next month. Peace.